Hi and welcome. I'm Lisa. Thanks for joining me here on the Whimsy Stamps channel for another card making tutorial. Whimsy Stamps and Brutus Monroe are teaming up to bring you inspiration and a chance to win a $25 gift certificate from one of these generous companies. Now you need to head over to Instagram and hop along, leaving a comment as you go. Once you're done here, you can click on that link in the description box below to head over and join in the fun. I'm going to give you some details on the products I'm using and show you how I put them to use. So I'm using Brutus Monroe's Chunky Glitter Glaze today, and I have it in red hearts, gold stars, and silver moons. Now, as the name implies, this glaze is full of chunky glitter. I mostly purchase glitter glazes to use with stencils, and you can use this glaze with stencils as long as the stencil has a substantial design. Now, otherwise, in my opinion, it's defeating the purpose. I tried this glaze with the Whimsy Stamp stencils and the results aren't terrible, but I feel like you really lose the wow factor of the glaze if you're using it with stencils that have smaller openings in the designs. Now, with all of that said, I came up with a way to use the glaze on my cards, and I have to say I was pleasantly surprised with the outcome. I'm sure this is not how the glazes were intended to be used, but it worked. Now, I'm sure some of you are wondering about that glitter staying in place with this technique. And as you saw, I was rubbing my finger across it and nothing fell off. If you still have concerns, you could spray this with a sealer that is made for crafts. Now for this technique, I chose to use Bristol Smooth paper. Just be sure the paper you use can handle the moisture from the glaze without causing too much warping or peeling. I have a piece of masking paper cut to the same size as my panel. This is a 4x4" piece, and the size can be changed to suit your needs. I'm lining the masking paper with the Bristol Smooth paper, and I'm going to take my time to burnish those edges, making sure the masking paper is adhered to my Bristol Smooth paper. I don't want ink or glaze to end up underneath that masking paper. So simple ink blending with distress oxides in the colored salvage patina, peacock feathers, and speckled egg. And you don't have to be perfect with the blending. We're going over this with the glaze. So using a plastic spatula, I lift a generous amount of the glaze out of the jar so I can lay it along the ink blended area. Try not to play with the glaze too much. You just need to lay it along that edge. We're going to use a metal bench scraper, also known as a baker's blade. I prefer the metal over the plastic, but if you have the plastic, by all means, use it. You're going to line the edge of the blade up with the glaze, tilt that blade down towards your paper, and glide it over the paper, pulling the glaze across the paper with it. I cannot stress enough that you don't need to apply pressure when doing this. You need a light hand with this. You're going to end up with a very thin layer of glaze on your paper. I do want to point out that I love this plastic Stay Fresh lid that they use on the jar. And I'm not sure what they put in this glaze, but it doesn't smell half bad. Now, because I'm impatient when it comes to things drying, I decided to dry this with my heat gun, and it worked out fine. You need to remember this is chunky glitter, so don't blast it with direct heat. Keep the gun moving or you will melt that chunky glitter. Let's remove the masking paper to reveal this gorgeous glittery background. I'm going to use this panel to create a pretty winter wonderland. So of course, I'm going to use my cartoonist pen to create the look of falling snow, just tapping that pen on the side of my hand to throw down some white splatters with this white ink. We're going to let that completely dry and then start on our next background. So here's the first background that I did, the purple and the blue with the gold stars. I think it is absolutely stunning. And it's really what made me want to continue working with this technique. So quickly, I want to run through this last panel with you. It's Bristol Smooth paper again, 4 inches by 8.5 inches, ink blending with distress oxides in Mowed Lawn and Twisted Citron. Again, you don't have to be perfect with this because we're adding the glaze over it. Same steps as before, lay the glaze along the ink blended area. Use the bench scraper to pull that glaze across the ink blended area. Remember, you do not need to apply pressure when doing this. You're just gliding it across. We're going to let that dry with the heat gun, but you can let it air dry if you want to. You don't have to use your heat gun. And we do add white splatters like we did with the first panel. And once that's dry, I went ahead, trimmed it down with my paper trimmer so it would fit behind Whimsy Stamps Slimline film strip die. This is one of my favorite dies from Whimsy. So I'm going to use my favorite 1/8 of an inch wide foam adhesive strips to adhere that film strip to the glazed background. And off screen, because I wanted to save some time here, I colored the images from the HumPUG stamp set and ran them through my die cutting machine with the coordinating outline dies. I'm just going to go ahead and use round foam adhesives to adhere all of the pieces to the card. And once I'm happy with the placement, I'm going to use a glitter pen on the ornaments to give them a little bit of sparkle, my gold gel pen on the top of the ornaments just to add a fun touch to those. And that's going to wrap this card up. So I love this stamp set. This little guy is so funny hanging in that wreath, and I think he goes perfect with that glittery background. Let me know what you think of the cards in the comments below. As always, I have the products I've used during the video linked directly below for you. You can head over to the Whimsy Stamps website to check out the Whimsy products, and you can head over to Brutus Monroe to check out their products. I really do appreciate you so much for spending time with me today. I hope you enjoy the hop over on Instagram. And until next time, please take care.